Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will not get tired of pouring accolades on Senator Zani for her hard work in terms of these bills. We are proud of her, even if we have to sound like broken telephones every other time we repeat this. There's value in having women leaders like Senator Zani. Madam Speaker, I rise to support the National Flags, Emblems and Names Amendment Bill 2020, and I must declare my interest on this matter. I have a lot of time, Madam Speaker, for the National Flag, Emblems and Names Bill. Or should I wait? Because now I don't know whether to say Madam or Mr. Because all of you are, there's nobody on the seat actually. Oh, now it's Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have a lot of time for the flag. And allow me to say this at the onset. Citizen TV recently did coverage on what would be artifacts or memorable symbols or memorable buildings or historical buildings. They started with a building that most of us don't know, that is ideally what is a 0 mile. It means that the compass of Kenya, if you go there, it's called a 0 mile. It's a building next to Nya House. If you pass by there, Mr. Speaker, today, you will just find people walking around, huge overgrown trees. Nobody notices that there's a beautiful building done in 1918 that is actually the center of Kenya. The 0 mile of Kenya is actually somewhere near Uhuru Highway. And I hope in the construction of the road, they are going to protect this building. The building called Kipande House, that is run by Kenya Commercial Bank, in my own view, Mr. Speaker, this building should not be occupied by a bank. This is a building which tourists should come and visit. Similar to that building where the former President Murumbi and his wife donated their gowns they used to wear. You find them there. Same to the National Archives near Tomboya Street. Mr. Speaker, if you went there today, you find somebody selling groundnuts, miraa, or something. That building is hardly recognized. It's the same thing when it comes to the national anthem. Recently, and I don't know how far this went through Safaricom, somebody attempted to translate the national anthem into various mother tongues. By the way, it offended me. Because I believe the national anthem in the words that it was drafted originally, both in English and Kiswahili, must remain. Now, I don't know what language you speak, Mr. Speaker, but when this national anthem is translated to your mother tongue, it ends up having possibly more syllables, possibly longer. It's not the same, doesn't sound the same, it doesn't make sense. And that's not what we want to teach our young people, because there's value in having a national anthem in the languages that are recognized nationally. Now, I still wonder who came up with that. And therefore, this amendment speaks to those things, that we must protect our national anthem. And in protecting this national anthem, you must copyright it, so that the person who attempted to do that can be punished. Because that's not what the concept was when it was originally crafted and originally drafted. Mr. Speaker, I have argued this before. Even the symbols. There was a petition, for example, by a gentleman, I can't remember his name now. Mr. Speaker, this gentleman wanted the cockerel in the coat of arms to be removed. Why? Because according to them, that cockerel is the symbol of Kanu. And therefore, in his mind, that it represents Kanu in our national symbols. But it's not, it cannot be correct. A cockerel cannot be the symbol of Kanu, even if the symbol of Kanu is a cockerel. Mr. Speaker, these symbols are important for our nation. When we were growing up, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure you recall, we used to sing we used to recite the loyalty pledge. Now come multi-party politics, I pledge my loyalty to the president, was then I pledge my loyalty to Moi, and it was scrapped. But it's a loyalty pledge. And I think these are some of the civics lessons that our children are missing. The value of this flag. I have proposed, Mr. Speaker, and I say this because I did some research, that this flag must be flown by every Kenyan. It cannot be a status symbol for ministers to break traffic laws on Uhuru Highway because they woke up late and they want to break traffic rules. Because they have a flag, they can drive on the wrong side. It cannot be a status symbol. It must be used by every Kenyan for our pride. When you watch at the end of the marathon, when we are number 1, 2, and 3, and then the flag of Kenya is going up and the singing and the reciting of our national anthem, you get some sense of pride. So these symbols, including our flags and emblems, have been abused. And when I proposed that Kenyans must be allowed to fly flags, like they do in the US, if you go to the US and you go to South Carolina, it's beautiful. The American flag is in every home. The pride. I've often argued, because we seem as a country not to be able to agree on presidency, that the presidency is not a symbol of national unity, as far as I'm concerned. Because now there are people who view the president as ours, they view the president and the opposition. So he is not common to all of us, like it was envisioned in this constitution. But there is one thing that does not distinguish where you came from, your tribe, the person you voted for, the person who lost the election, the person who won the election, the person who is in State House, and it's this flag. This is a symbol of our unity and our national anthem. Now, I was digging, because that was my proposal, that either at Jamhuri Day or when we are happy, somebody has won something, I just go to my office, raise a flag, you know? In November 1963, and to be precise, on 25th of November, the late Tomboy, as Justice Minister, as young as he was at the time, moved an amendment to ban the flying of flags by every Kenyan. And there was a reason at the time. The Hansard records, Mr. Speaker, that the colonialists, those Europeans who we threw out of Kenya, were using the flag in the toilet. It was all over the place. So it was being abused. Because at that time, it was in the process of being approved as the flag of the nation. But, Mr. Speaker, is that the position today? It is not. So the mischief of banning the use of our flag, in my view, Mr. Speaker, and I can say so again and again, as we have done away with it and the mischief no longer exists. So these flags and these symbols are important for our nation. These small little things and bands that we wear, every time I travel outside the country, people admire them. I have to give them out. Somebody says, what is this? Is this the flag of Kenya? Could I please have it? And I give it with pride. This symbol, because it is the symbol of our nation. And that is the reason I support this, because it's protecting the national anthem. When I was studying abroad, and I was on my way back, the color of Kenya Airways used to settle our minds. But when you got in, they were either playing an African song or they were playing the national anthem. By the time you got into the plane on your way to Nairobi, inside that plane you felt that you're already in Kenya. It's a beautiful thing. And I think we should be playing our national anthem a little more often. I think we should protect it a little more often. And to symbolize this, Mr. Speaker, and Senator Zani, I want you to confirm, if you walk into my office here, you'll find I have framed the national anthem in Kiswahili. It's here in my office. In my office on Gong Road, I've framed both the English version and the Kiswahili version. It's in my office, framed. On the wall as you walk in, you see the national anthem of Kenya. That is the pride I have in these symbols of this country. And it's an emotive issue. And we must continue speaking about it. Because in a divided country like this one, going into a divisive election, going into the sort of things we are going, the sort of things we say in public platforms, you want to look around and find something that will remind us that whether you come from Samburu, Kwale, Machakos, Kisii, whatever it is, we are all Kenyans. And therefore, allow me to again congratulate Senator Zani for this very noble cause of making sure that this is copyrighted. We were discussing it. Can you imagine, Mr. Speaker, somebody went and patented the word Hakuna Matata. I was in a shop, and see these young children were speaking about Pumbaa in The Lion King, and Simba, Hakuna Matata, patented those words that are Swahili words. And nobody in this country has ever thought that we can patent anything that is Kenyan. They never requested us. If you go to Japan and even China, they're doing our kiondos. And they have patented some of them. And yet, they are ours, original. So, Mr. Speaker, the idea of patenting, for purposes of Senator Zani, is that, yes, thank you. Yes, I want to be informed.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I want to give some information. Mr. Speaker, the other day we had some training somewhere in Dubai. And I think you were part of that delegation. And every taxi that we took, and they would ask us, where do you come from? Then we'd say, we are from Kenya. Then they would just say, Hakuna Matata. So you can imagine the word Hakuna Matata, or the sentence Hakuna Matata, is synonymous with Kenya. But we have not even taken a step to ensure that that one is patented and it is identified as Kenyan. That is how Hakuna Matata has spread in the world.
Thank you, and that's exactly what I was saying. In fact, for somebody to go to Disney World and patent Hakuna Matata, it's a mockery. It's just a mockery. It makes me feel very bad about some of the things we do. And some ingenious person is going to patent something else. They're just going to walk around and find something else that is typically Kenyan and patent it because we don't think we should patent. What it means is by the time a person out there even does a cap with the Kenyan flag, they will have to consult and pay royalties. That's the idea of patenting. The minute you wear like you are wearing a symbol, Mr. Speaker, I've just seen, I can see from here, if you wear the symbol of the country, you pay for it. Why? Because other countries are paying money for those lapel pins. It's part of commerce. So if somebody produces a cap that has the Kenyan flag, or produces any gadget that has a Kenyan flag, you pay for it. The other day when we traveled to Dubai with the Speaker, unbelievably, the UAE government last year put our flag on the tallest building in the world. On Jamhuri Day. The tallest building had our flag for 5 minutes. That's how important this flag is. And that's how important we should treat it. Because if a person out there can recognize this flag, we should recognize it. Give it to children, make sure they fly it. Sometimes when I see I went to a school and found a tattered flag. I bought one for them. I said, this is a crime. How can you have a tattered flag in a school? And yet they are sold here. I still think, and I have suggested, and I don't know why this has not been implemented, that the flags that we see out here on the corridors should be in our offices. The flag of Kenya and the flag of Makueni should be in my office, either outside the office or inside. It should, or outside, like they do it in the US. We should treat this very important garment. It's just a garment, but it carries the spirit of this nation a little more with respect, and insist that it must be carried with decorum. So that's why I'm saying you can't use a flag to violate the law. That's abuse. You can't put a flag on your car and just drive on the wrong side of traffic. That's wrong. It's abuse of a national symbol. So, Mr. Speaker, as I support this framework, I hope this will see the light of day, and I hope that my proposal on Kenyans flying flags in their homes during national days or selected days will see the light of day. It will create hope. And let me finish by saying, even the fight against terrorism requires for us as Kenyans to be patriotic. Somebody was teaching a patriotic class, and they bothered to tell me, and they said, I'm trying to teach patriotism. Senator Zani is a teacher. How do you teach patriotism? How? Explain to me, how do you teach patriotism as a lesson? Where do you start? What do you say? You shall love your country. Why? How do you teach the subject patriotism? Mr. Speaker, you must first of all teach our children and ourselves to love country, love our symbols, protect our symbols, protect these things that matter to us. In the middle of any crisis, everybody should remember that when you allow a terrorism, you harbor a terrorism in the country, you are harming another Kenyan. That is called patriotism. When you take money so that a terrorist can get into the country, that is called negative patriotism. That's how you teach. But you begin with small little things. You don't begin with those big things. You begin with small little things. Things that people ignore. Things that appear like they don't matter, but they do. When people are watching football, out there you see the flags on their faces. I watched the match recently. People nearly removed their clothes just to show, because the only thing that reminds them that they are either Italy or England is their flag. That's why this is important. I hope one day history will record the work of Senator Zani in trying to improve our work. And I hope, for crying out loud, we can get some of the work we do here, Mr. Speaker. It makes me very tired, because we work so hard, we speak so well, and we speak well. You give us a lot of time, and it ends up nowhere. I hope some of these laws can be signed. I mean, in the middle of hopelessness, I must speak of hope, because that's the only way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Senator Mogeni Eric Okongo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.